This is not a good idea. Don't do this. It's Barney Frank and Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid and Barack Obama that are pushing this, and they're forcing this agenda down the military throat. Here we have Barack Obama standing up in front of West Point, the very best of the best that this country has to offer, standing there telling them, and in the future, you're not going to fight for your country, you're going to fight for global warming. You're going to fight to protect the financial interest of a lot of rich people in the world that are not American citizens. That's what you're going to be fighting for in the future. And and by the way, you're not going to be under the United States of America, you're going to be under the United Nations. We have on top of that, all of that, the questions, the legitimate questions by at least some in the military of the eligibility of the President of the United States. I think it's something to be watched. I think it's something to pray about. I think it's something that we as Christians, number one, should be spiritually minded about. And number two, as American Christians, we should be legitimately concerned about the future of our country. Somebody sent me this. I got another update on this oil rig thing. And, I hate to keep beating a dead horse in the ground. But let me do this. I study numbers. In fact, we have... If you want to make sense out of anything that I'm going to say in the next 5 minutes, I really encourage you to get a copy of the Babel Conspiracy, however you want to pronounce it, potato, and there's a video that goes along with it, the Babel Conspiracy, 9/11, 2012, and beyond. And it occurred to me last night that, you remember the events that took place September 11th, 2001, literally a paradigm shift in this country. We were paradigm shifted in this country. We were brought one step closer to the New World Order. And what I establish in this book, and I think the evidence speaks for itself, is that the things that I call a group Illuminati, I don't know who they are, but illuminated people who know the plan and who know the secret and who know what they're doing, and they're doing it for that reason. They operate in patterns. They do. They really do. Spirits, I believe, operate in patterns. And these patterns I lay down in here, and it occurred to me last night that, everybody's talking about 2012. 2012. That from September 11th, 2001, and I talk about the number 11 in this particular video and book, that from 2001 to 2012, when the world's going to end and all this stuff, that's 11 years. That is a pattern of 11. And I'm not saying that the Lord's going to come back in 2012. I don't think He is. But what I'm telling you is that all this hoopla is being made about 2012, and I think plans are in the work. And I think it fits a predetermined pattern, and it's a pattern that we don't have to ask the Illuminati to reveal to us. All we have to do is ask God. And we go to the Word of God, and we go to numerics, Genesis chapter 11, and that is the Tower of Babel, the story of Tower of Babel. Incidentally, the number 11 is the number for confusion in the Bible. And so here in Genesis chapter 11, we have confusion. We have the efforts of man to build his own way to heaven. We have... and I want you to think about all the possible ramifications of that, the elevation of man, the evolution of man, and so on. That work was cut off by God because God saw the imaginations of man, and He said whatever they imagine to do, that's what they're going to do. And there's a lot that goes into this. But if you remember, we talked about this thing happened, this oil rig explosion happened on May 20th. Now I have, certain dates that I just kind of watch to see what's going to happen on those days, and May 20th is one of those. That is the 110th day of the year, which is 11 times 10. The Twin Towers were 110 stories tall, okay, on September 11th, 2001. There's a number 11 there. Flight 11 flying into this. Muhammad Atta, the pilot behind this plane, was exactly 33 years old. Timothy McVeigh was 33 years old when they killed him. Who else was 33? David Koresh was 33 years old. You're starting to get a pattern here. You're starting to see things. Pope John Paul I was Pope for exactly 33 days. He was murdered in his sleep, people. Murdered in his sleep 33 days after he became Pope. So watch this now. Here's a new article. It came out May 27th this year, and somebody brought it to my attention. I appreciate that. I think it was Chad up in Detroit. But I want to read this article here, and I want you to see this, and I want to skip the first two paragraphs and go to the fourth paragraph. Said Douglas Brown is talking about this big, supposedly there was a big argument big knockdown, drag-out argument on this oil rig, and everybody's trying to find out what was going on here just before the explosion. Now, here's the article, and I want you to look at it. Douglas H. Brown, Transocean's chief mechanic on the Deepwater Horizon rig, said key representatives from both companies had a skirmish during an 11 a.m. meeting on April 20th. Less than 11 hours later, the well had a blowout, an uncontrolled release of oil gas, killing 11 workers. Now, here's what I want you to get. We're going to add all this up here in a minute. It said during an 11 a.m. meeting. Now, I think that is a generalized way of describing about what time the meeting started. So they had to put in the 11 here. Less than 11 hours later, they had to put that 11 in too. They could have said, just over 10 hours, but they didn't. They said 11. And then we have 11 workers killed. 11, 11, 11, 33. The 110th day of the year, that's 11 times 10. And then we talked about the BP symbol and all the things that are going on here. And as of today, I'm doing this broadcast on Saturday, May 29th, tomorrow's I don't want to do it on my birthday. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to eat cake if my wife will make me a cake. I think she will. But anyway, as of today, they still have not stopped the flow of oil. And they're now telling it's the worst oil catastrophe that's ever happened in the whole world and all this stuff. The worst catastrophe, big catastrophic event that is going to destroy, who knows how, and who knows, now listen to this, here's what we look for. Who knows what plan is waiting in the wings to make sure that this never happens again. That's what September 11th was all about. It was about implementing certain rules and certain things in this country and probably around the world to basically spy, the Patriot Act that still is in existence today. It was all about that and much more. So I just wanted to throw that in here. Here's something related to September 11th. As a result of what happened September 11th, now we have the TSA, which is Transportation Security Administration, keeps watch list of peeved travelers. Now we'll read this whole article, but basically the article says, and I saw this on the news the other night, that basically if you show up at the airport, and you go to the airport, and being at the airport now is not the best of all experiences. Thank God that they have Starbucks there, okay? And so, but you go to the airport and you have to take off your shoes, which I absolutely hate taking off my shoes. I can't stand to take off my shoes. I have my shoes on right now, okay? I'm just telling you, I hate to take my shoes off. But you got to go up there, take off your shoes. You have to voluntarily submit to some man or some woman feeling you up at the airport, checking you out. Now it's got to the point, now we show up there and there might just be a big machine that can see through all your clothes. And we're supposed to show up there and be in a good mood. You show up there, I carry my satchel with my laptop in there, stuff like that. They say, we're going to have to go through that. And they start pulling everything that you own out of there. There's no privacy at the airport. None. Zero. And so now you show up there and you're not the happiest of all people in the world. And you make a growl or a snicker or a snide comment or you complain or they're going to write your name down on a list. And you're on their list. I think that's ignorant. I think it's absolutely ignorant. We're going to be getting into some heavy DNA stuff. A lot of things have come across my desk this week, but this is really sticking out. Several of you have noticed that there is a new movie coming out in the month of June called Splice. And I want you to take a look. This is an article from WorldNet Daily, and I want you to take a look at just a graphic here, a clip of this movie. And the article says, human-animal hybrids in life versus death struggle. Science fiction fantasy becomes reality in labs. Now I'm going to stop right here. Getting back to Genesis 11, I want to read verse 6, okay? The Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing, listen to this, nothing will be, this is God talking, nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Here is the imagination right here, and the imagination is becoming reality. The article says, in what may seem more like Hollywood science fiction plot, as in the forthcoming movie Splice,